and prosecutors. Y'all already know R.J. Bond. Defense. He should have reached out to y'all to already get this tape. Shout out to my man, right? And get this tape and submit it as evidence. Get this tape and submit it to the FBI. Unless these different agencies are all a part of this cover up, which I doubt. They just not looking at the right things. But here we go again with what I'm about to play. Just listen. Because Michael Moore told Frank, even Frank was oblivious like some of you goofball YouTubers. Frank was right there and did not believe what was right under his eyes. And now we know for a fact the conversation that Frank and Michael Moore was having, we seen it play out. They talked about it in real time when Tupac and them got shot and how they thought things was going to play out. Now that everything done played out, let's see who was right and who was wrong. Because Frank was wrong in certain things. And Michael Moore was spot on. And this is why the prosecution and the defense need to use this as credibility when Reggie gets up on that stand to testify and use Michael Moore's and Frank Alexander's phone call as their testimony and what took place that day. Let the jury hear it. Let the jury hear it. Let them make a decision. But now you gonna be the jury. You watching, y'all gonna listen right now, and you tell me Tupac, two main securities, Michael Moore and Frank Alexander, are on the phone. Michael Moore doesn't know that Frank Alexander is recording this phone call, right? They're talking about the weird behavior around Tupac getting shot. Like Reggie never, ever, 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 ever went to Club 662 before, prior to the day Tupac got shot. Strange? Listen to this phone call. Let's get to it. My bad, John. Here we go. Started. Need y'all to listen well. And I'm gonna be talking throughout this. Need y'all to listen well. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair uses are use permitted by the copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit educational and personal use tips to balance in favor of fair use. And I'm using this under fair use. Shout out to my man R.J. Bond. You know what it is. This is the conversation between Frank Alexander and Michael Moore about Reggie Wright Jr. behavior and them putting it together that allegedly Reggie was behind Tupac's killing. Listen, and this tape should be submitted in court. And now that we got 100 people in here, let's get this started. I need y'all to listen well. And I'm going to be talking throughout this. Before I do that, let me do this. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Talking about the night Tupac got. Okay. Everything's possible. I put touch it. I got to pick up. Okay. It's really easy for us. All right. Sorry, man. Oh, Reggie knows. I know he does. Because he said some things that are weird. Things that you normally don't say. He said. Like what? His comment was, we ain't going to be hurting for nothing. Who is we? He said, we ain't. This is what he told me. I said, damn, man, that's pretty sad. I said, financially, that's going to fuck some shit up. And he goes, we ain't going to be hurting for nothing. Yeah, right now, what you're hearing is Michael Moore talking to Frank Alexander. And what he just said to him is, he like, damn, nigga, Pac is dead now, man. That shit gonna hurt financially. And Reggie says, we ain't gonna be hurting for nothing. And that's why Frank like, who the fuck is we? Like, that nigga don't own no company. Who is we? Right? But what Michael Moore is saying is that is a strange response to be having, like when Tupac died. You talking about, oh, we ain't gonna hurt for nothing? What? I said, damn, man, that's pretty sad. I said, financially, that's gonna fuck some shit up. And he goes, we ain't gonna be hurt for nothing. So, yeah, but Reggie saying that don't mean, you know, that's Suge's involvement or this and that. Because I'm gonna tell you something else, man. You know, we don't know, well, we know that Reggie and Suge are close. They grew up together. They're like brothers, right? We don't know how much Suge completely trust Reggie or will say certain things to Reggie. You know, maybe there's nothing he won't say to him. Then again, maybe there is. Maybe Reggie knows a lot, okay? But I don't think if Suge had anything to do with Tupac's death, he would tell Reggie. He would. You think he would? He would. I know he would. Like, because they're tighter than you think. Everything that Suge does, Reggie knows. Because I tell you right now, anything goes down with Suge, you know who's going to run this company? Reggie. Well, what do you mean, Death Row? He would much rather see it turn over to Reggie. Nope. Well,
everything comes back on Reggie, right? Everything.
Now, let's stop right there for a second, right? Now, Frank is asking Michael Moore, do you think that if Suge has something to do? Now, remember, this is September of 1996 when this is going down, this phone call. Like, or September or October, right? Because Tupac is dead, right? And this is all right in that 30 to 60-day window, all right? So they are looking back on what's going on, right? And they putting it together in their heads by looking at character and behavior, right? Now, Michael Moore is telling Frank that Suge and Reggie is tighter than Frank think. And if something happened to Suge, that Reggie's going to take over the run death row. Frank is telling him, nah, I don't think so. Nah, Frank, I don't think Suge would tell Reggie if he was setting Tupac up. I don't think Reggie would be in on it. Michael Moore is like, you're wrong. I believe Suge would have Reggie involved in it, right? That's one thing to keep in mind, right? Now remember, this is 96, right? In the 60-day window of what happened, right? What do we know today? Right? Then I just asked Daz, was Reggie running death row? Don't Reggie get on here and say that he was running death row? Then Reggie put out a book called uh, some label boy, something, right? So who was wrong and who was right? Frank, rest in peace, was wrong, and Michael Moore was right. Because when Suge got violated and went to jail, who say they ran death row? Reggie, right? Frank was sleeping. Let's get back to it.